everyone, welcome to episode 31 of the Arieknits podcast. My name is Ariel, and this is a video podcast where I talk about all things knitting and sometimes crochet, sometimes sewing things, and I'll show all of my works in progress and things I've finished and things that I might be planning to make in the future. And yeah, so today it is Saturday, May 27th, and I did not post a video last week. I was kind of hoping that I would, but I had a ice skating competition last weekend, and I kind of thought I would have some time maybe to film instead of on a Saturday, maybe the Friday before, like the day before, but I was so nervous for my competition that I just couldn't. Knitting is something that's really relaxing for me, and I was so nervous that I couldn't even knit last weekend before my competition. So I was just so nervous, and I was just I don't think that I could film a video for you all last week, so sorry about that. But that means that for this video that there'll be a lot of things that I want to share, because I have worked on a lot of things in the past 2 weeks. So yeah, but first things first. Yeah, so just about my skating competition. So if you're not interested in this, feel free to skip to a later part in the video, but I had my first skating competition of this year. I actually started competing last year in 2022, but so I did 2 competitions last year. Those were my first ever skating competitions, and if you haven't heard me mention about this before in the past, just really quickly, ice skating has been a childhood dream of mine, and it was just, it was just not something that I could really do as a kid. I took some lessons, but kind of just went nowhere. I didn't learn how to jump or spin back when I was little, but as once I graduated college and I got a job and I had money for myself, I learned about adult skating lessons, and that there is an adult skating community, at least here in Seattle. I mean, there's a lot of adult skating communities everywhere across the US that I know of, but in Seattle where I live, I found some classes, and so I started taking group lessons, and then this was back in 2019, so it was just for 6 months of 2019, and then basically up until the lockdown of COVID in 2020, couldn't really skate that year. And then once the rinks started opening up again, I started taking private lessons, and so started taking private lessons in 2021, and it has been really great. I really like my coach. I like the rink that I skate at here in Seattle, and my friends are great. It's so much fun, and yeah, it's really hard to learn new things as an adult, because sometimes, I mean, at least for me, I feel sometimes embarrassed about just kids get it so fast, But anyway, so it feels really great. So anyway, I started competing last year, did 2 competitions. This year I have a new program, which means new music, new moves, new jumps, new spins. And so that's been really fun. But yeah, so last weekend was my first competition with this new program. It went well. So anyway, I said that this is a knitting podcast, so I want to get to the knitting right away, but just wanted to let you all know kind of what I did last weekend, and that's the reason why I didn't have a video. So anyway, I don't know if this is interesting to any of you, but just thought I'd share. But for now, let's just move on to the actual knitting content. So I will start with what I am wearing, and it is also my one finished object for this past 2 weeks. I'm really happy with it. It is my Birch Pullover, and if you haven't been following or this is your first time watching, the Birch Pullover, it's a pattern by Andrea Mowry. Also, if you're wondering, I am in a new kind of setup, so my notes are a little farther, and so if you see me, I usually have my notes on this side, but they're a little farther than normal, so apologies if things look a little different, but okay, so Birch Pullover by Andrea Mowry, and the yarn I use for this is woolberryfiberco in the Berry Natural base in the colorway I Smell Snow, and I will stand up so you can see the full sweater. Actually, I'll move my chair so I can go back. So here's the full sweater. I finally blocked it, and because the stitch pattern is the half fisherman's rib, it really blocked out super nicely, and it didn't grow as much as I was worried it was going to grow. So everything just worked out really well with the sweater. I like how much ease there is, and I just realized that I did not write down in my notes how much ease I have on this, but I will, after I film this video, I will measure it and I'll put that down in the link below, or not the link, the description. But I really like how this came out, how it fits, how it drapes, and how it feels. I think the variegated colorway looks so nice in this stitch pattern and just, you know, the sweater pattern. And I like the squish of the yarn. It's a very natural base, and so it's really soft. If you haven't tried this base, I highly recommend it. It is so soft, and paired with, you know, the half fisherman's rib stitch, it just makes it like really squishy and really comfortable, and something that I just want to wear all the time. And yeah, so I made size 1, and I used US 1.5 needles to make this. I believe I sized down a little bit just because I tend to knit kind of loose, sometimes knit loosely. So yeah, that is my finished Birch Pullover. It was a lot of knitting. I don't think it took me that long to finish. I don't remember when I started it, but compared to some other sweaters, I mean, it did feel like it was a lot of knitting, but it was okay. I just stayed determined to continue on it, and so I think that's how I was able to finish it. And I love it so much that I'm pretty sure I'm going to make another Birch Pullover, maybe in a solid color this time. I mean, I really like the variegation, but I do think it would be really nice to have a solid color version as well. So I definitely see that in my future. And I am glad that, I mean, it's a little hot right now, so I'm just kind of gonna bear through the heat by wearing this right now, but it's at least not terribly hot to wear. So I have worn it a couple times already, just trying to get as much wear out of it before it gets too unbearably hot here to wear long sleeve knitted sweaters, but worked out perfectly. I think as far as modifications, the only things I believe I changed was that I changed where the beginning of round was once I connected under the arms to be under the arm instead of like off center in the front, and so that was one change, but it wasn't really like, you know, a design change. It was just change where my beginning of round is. And then for the sleeves, I think I knitted them 1 inch less than the pattern says, and they are like the actual perfect length for me, and so hopefully I will remember to do the same thing when I make this again. Okay, so that is my finished object. I'm so happy with it. So yeah, I just really like how it came out, and the blocking on it just made it even better. So yeah, that's what I'm wearing. That's my one finished object, and now I have a whole bunch of works in progress to share. Let's start with the ones that I will just be showing some progress on. Okay, so the first one I want to talk about really quickly is my big Cozy Cardi. For this project, I really want to try and make a little bit of progress every week because it is just a huge and massive project, so I just want to, it's kind of like my back burner project. If I want to knit on something and not have to think too hard, like this is the one that I'm going to go to, at least try to go to. So this is how much I have so far, and I have been trying to track my progress for me to see and also for you to see with a stitch marker. So in the past 2 weeks, I did about, this might be 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches. This is from the stitch marker. So we're slowly getting there. We're not, I think we're over halfway, but we're not that much over halfway done. So there's still a lot to do, a lot of knitting to do on this, but it's still been enjoyable. Yeah, Big Cozy Cardi by Andrea Mowry. Yarn I am using is La Bien Aimée Merino Twist base in the colorway Jinju, and I am making size 1, and I'm using US 3 needles, which I believe I also sized down from the recommended needle size on the pattern. So yeah, so this is I'm just showing progress on this. We're getting there, we're getting there. I think by the time I'm done making this, it will be too hot to wear a big Cozy Cardi, but still want it to be ready for when it does finally get cold. So I'm gonna continue working on that. Okay, next up, this is the one I think I have like the most progress on, because right before filming this, I just finished the knitting. I just finished the knitting part. So it's not blocked, it's not, the ends are not weaved in, but let me just grab it. Okay, I've been really kind of just like hammering away on this project in the last couple weeks, and so this makes me really excited. This is the No Sweatshirt by Park and Knit on Instagram. Here it is. I forget where I was last time on this. I think, did I finish the body last time, or was I working on a sleeve? I forget, but body's finished, both sleeves are finished, and this morning I finished making the hood. This is the first time I am knitting a hood, like a hoodie for anything, and so I was very curious to see how this part was knitted and put together, and so I thought that was really interesting. I also didn't realize that in the pattern there were two different styles of hood. So one is the rounded hood, which is the one I did, and the other one is the pointed hood, which I believe is the one that's in the pattern, like the sample knit for the pattern. So I did the rounded hood just because I don't like pointy hoods, but I'm glad that it had the option, so that was really cool. And other things about this, so the yarn I am using is woolberryfiberco in the Berry Natural DK base. So this is the first time I am using the natural DK base. So again, this sweater I'm wearing is a natural base, which is the fingering weight base, but this one's DK, and so I knew I was going to love it and that it was going to be as soft as the fingering weight one, but just being able to knit it up and actually feel it, it is so soft. Like the DK weight, natural DK weight from Woolberry, it is so soft, and so this makes me like I really want more colorways in the natural DK base, so probably be seeing more of that in the future. But yeah, so this is what I have. This is what it looks like right now, and I just have ends to weave in. I kind of have a lot because I tried my best to alternate skeins on this. Actually, I really don't. I've almost like never alternated skeins on my projects, but for this one I really wanted to make sure that there was no color pooling and that there was a nice even kind of like color, like the color was just evenly distributed, and so I actually did alternate skeins, but only for certain sections. So I alternated skeins for the body once I connected under the arms, just because in the round it's a lot easier to alternate skeins, so I didn't do it for like the raglan increases at the top, but just for the body. Sleeves, I did not alternate skeins because they were looking, I was working them up and they looked fine, like there was no color pooling or anything. And then for the hood is the part that I also alternated skeins because my last two skeins kind of look different in the, like I could tell the difference between them when they were caked up, and so I just wanted to make sure that it would blend really nicely, and so I also think that that turned out really nice. You can't really, it just looks like one cohesive piece, and so very happy with how that turned out. And I also did, like, again, the last thing I did before turning on this camera was finish making the I-cord like drawstring that will eventually go into the hood, and so that is going to be really nice. And so now I just want to, all I need to do is weave in the ends, block it, and then put the drawstring in, and then it'll be done. And so pretty sure that this will be done and ready for next week's podcast. So that is something that I'm really looking forward to. My first hoodie, my first knitted hoodie. And I can definitely, I mean, I kind of want this also in a solid color sometime in the future. So yeah, lots of things that I want to re-knit patterns for, which is always really exciting, but oh, there's so many things to balance with how many things I want to knit. So, but this is a pattern I think I will want to knit again in the future. So yeah. Oh, I don't know if I mentioned the size. So I am, or the yarn actually. I did say, I remember saying Woolberry Natural Decay base, and then the colorway is Mornings at the Coffee Shop, which was from, I don't know why I remember that this was one of the January collective colorways, like, because the other collective colorways, I don't remember what month it was, but for some reason I just remember that this was a January one. So anyway, Mornings at the Coffee Shop, and then I am making size extra small, which is the smallest size, and I'm using US 5 needles, and I did size down one size for this. Actually, kind of funny story, when I first cast this on, I was using US 6 needles because that was the recommended needle size, and when things are not a test knit, it is hit or miss if I am going to knit a gauge swatch, and in this case, I was like, no gauge swatch. I knit the entire like raglan increase, and I connected under the arms, and I did knit a few rows under the arms, and I was like, it looks kind of big. I checked the sizing and it was just way too big, so I ripped it all out and went down a needle size. So now the sizing looks great, so I think it's gonna work out and it's all good. Okay, so that is the no sweatshirt. That's the progress on that. And then I have some more exciting progress on this sweater. I think I made a good amount of progress on this as well, considering the other projects that I've also made a lot of progress on. So this is the Good Willow Pullover by Allison Cribbs, and I finished knitting the body. So, okay, it looks really skinny because it is a cable ribbed pattern, so it looks really skinny, but once it's blocked, it will stretch out a little bit. Yeah, so it should stretch out once it's blocked. So looking forward to a nice blocking, giving this a nice blocking. Finished the body. I finished making the neck ribbing, and now I am on to my first sleeve for this. So yeah, things are just going smoothly. I really like how the pattern's written. I am just, every time I see this color work section, I am obsessed. Like, it's so cute, it looks so nice, and I just really love this. So the yarn I'm using for this is from Olivia and Oliver Fibers in the colorways. Okay, so in the base, Classic Sock, which is the fingering weight yarn, and the colorways is Burnt Umber, so that's the main color here, which is just, it is such a really nice, like, I mean, Burnt Umber is such a nice, it's the perfect, I think, description of this color. It's not too red, it's not too brown, it's just like the perfect kind of like maroon, browny red color. And then the flower, or the color work, the contrast color for the color work, I am using same yarn, same base in the colorway Pink Marble, which is a variegated pink, which you probably can't see kind of like in the camera, but it looks so nice in person and up close, and I think that's gonna look, it just looks so good together, these two colors. And I am knitting size 2, and I'm using US 4 needles, and the sizing thing for this is I want the measurements of size 1, but since I'm using a fingering weight yarn and the pattern originally calls for a sport weight yarn, I actually think, since sport is between fingering and DK, sometimes you can like choose fingering or DK, like instead of the sport weight, but I think if I looked at gauge, the actual gauge number, it's probably like if you were going to choose a fingering or DK, if you aren't going to use a sport, DK probably would have worked better, because for fingering to get the right gauge, it'd just be very like airy and open. The stitches would just be kind of big. So what I decided to do instead is to size up 1, so I'm making size 2 instead. And so my gauge is smaller than the gauge in the pattern, but I think the end result will end up being the measurements that I want for it. Fingers crossed. So far it looks like it'll be okay once it's blocked. So I may like not fully wet block this before it's done, but I might steam block it just so I can get a feel. Like if it's wildly too small or something, then I may have to rip it all out, but I don't think that's the case. Like so far it looks like it'll be fine. So yeah, so that's my quick little update on my good Willow pullover. Put this down here. Okay, on to my new cast-ons in the past 2 weeks. Since I finished my Birch Pullover, I felt like I could cast on new things. So let's start with this first one. This one's made me really excited. I've been wanting to make this pattern for a while. I just needed some good yarn color inspiration to hit me. So finally got that yarn inspiration. I am making the Stripy turtle tank, which is a pattern by Emily Curtis, and the yarn I decided to use for this, it's all, I had this idea to make this because I got Woolberry's, like I was part of the Anne Club last year, and I got pretty much one skein of every color, and I was like, I don't know, I like the idea of using yarns from one collection in a project. I just wasn't sure how I was going to do that because it's like one skein of each color, and so I was like, it would have to be stripes. Like you can't, unless I make like a crop tank with like one skein, but anything bigger than that, you'll have to do stripes or something. Then when she had the pre-order for the Anne collection, there were mini skeins, and so I was like, this will be perfect. I will use some of the mini skeins from the Anne collection paired with one of my full skeins to make the Stripy turtle tank. So, and then I was like, what colors am I going to use? Am I going to use all of the, I think there were 9 mini skeins in the Anne collection. Am I going to use all 9 in one Stripy turtle tank? Will I split them up? What color combos could I make? What will be my main color? And I decided to use 5, I think it's 5. I guess I have them all here. Could I show them? Okay, so I decided to use 5 of the mini skeins, and when I split them up into like this grouping of 5, oh, it was so cute. It's very spring colors, which I think if I had to choose like my favorite kind of like color, I really like pastels, and so spring kind of color vibes are definitely my thing. So these are the 5 mini skeins from the Anne collection that I'm using. There is a light lavender purple. There is kind of like this slightly yellow creamy color, a light pink, a light green, and then a very like dusty rose kind of color. So all 5 of these I thought would look really cute together. And then for the main skein, I decided to use my one skein of White Way of Delight. I believe that's the colorway name. I threw away the tag, so I don't remember. But yeah, I believe this is a White Way of Delight, so it's just a nice white color. And this is what it all looks like together. And I really like how it's turning out. So in person, it's a bit easier to see like the yellow stripe and the pink stripe. On camera, it's kind of just, it does blend in a little bit to the white background, like it's, you know, very low contrast, but I like the placement of them as far as like the order of the stripes on this. So I think that looks really cute. And I'm excited to have a stripy turtle tank. And yeah, I'm just very happily working on this. And it's super nice to kind of like keep switching the colors while I'm working on it. It keeps it very interesting because it's pretty much all stockinette knitting. But also stockinette knitting is really, relaxing anyway, but it just helps to add that bit of interest when working on it. So yeah, this is my stripy turtle tank, and I am, oh, as far as like the base of the yarn, when I bought the yarn club, I got all in the berry cashmere base, and so the white is, the main color is berry cashmere, and the minis are like the regular like sock. I believe it's like the sock with the nylon in it. I forget, like I believe it's probably like the superwash merino, 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon. It's probably what that is. But I've combined like different bases like that before, and as long as it's fingering weight, it seems to work out fine. So yeah, so this is the start of my stripy turtle tank. I actually, okay, so since the Anne collection minis, there were 9 of them, and I'm using 5 for this project. I still have 4 more left, so I'm thinking about, I don't know if there will be enough minis to make one more stripy turtle tank with the other ones, but that's kind of my plan right now, is to see if I can do that, or I'll substitute out one of the, like, to add a 5th color with one of my full skeins from the Anne collection. But I'm kind of hoping to have 2 stripy turtle tanks, both using different colorways from the Anne collection by Woolberry. I think that'd be really cute, and there's just something about using colors all from one collection together. Like, it makes me feel like really happy and accomplished when they all, I don't know, are all work together. So that's the stripy turtle tank by Emily Curtis. And also, if, depending on when you watch this video, Emily Curtis just released her color tip tee pattern, which I was able to test knit, which was so fun. It's also another pattern that I want to make again in like solid color and different color stripes. Like, her patterns are so good for like making different versions and different colors. Like, it all works so well. So that pattern, the color tip tee, just got released by Emily Curtis, so go check it out. And she's also having a sale on her kind of like summer knits, and so that also includes the stripy turtle tank. So if you haven't already gotten the stripy turtle tank, definitely go and check that out as well. I also made the slanty stripes in like last year. That's also, I believe, on sale if you use her code. So just check out her Instagram, check out her Ravelry page, and yeah, just great summer knits. I'm really happy to be to start, like, I'm still obviously working on sweaters and long sleeve stuff, but I really like making tank tops and stuff, so really happy to have this started. Okay, next is actually the project that I made a swatch for. If you remember, I showed it on my Instagram, if you follow me on Instagram, for the Straya cardigan. I made a swatch. This was a while ago. It might have been like over a month ago, and I haven't cast it on, surprisingly. You would think that I was so excited for this project that I would have cast it on immediately, but my goal was to finish the Birch Pullover before I started the Straya, because they're so similar. They're both using the half fisherman's rib stitch pattern, and I didn't think I would feel motivated to work on 2 projects that are both using fingering weight yarn, half fisherman's rib. Like, it'll just be too much knitting, and I might have stalled on both if I had both of them going on at the same time. So once I finished my Birch Pullover, I decided to cast on the Straya, and I can show you the progress I have. I made a lot of progress. So, oh my gosh, here it is. This is the first time, I haven't even shown, this is the first time I'm showing it. It is so cute. I'm so happy with it so far. So I did connect under the arms, and I've just worked just slightly under the arms so far, but that is all the progress I've made on the Straya so far. The Straya cardigan is a pattern by Andrea Mowry. I'm really kind of just like I haven't made any Andrew Mowry patterns like in the first year or two of me knitting, and now I'm just like all Andrew Mowry patterns. I don't know. But anyway, Straya by Andrew Mowry. A main color, I am using ampersand fibers in the Caslon fingering base in the colorway Oat 01. And it's a really nice, like, gray, like super light gray kind of color. I really like it. I was considering between the Oat 01 and then, I forget what the other colorway name is, but something that's like white. But I really wanted something that was a bit more like neutral and not white. And so I felt like this kind of gray brownie is brown, well, not brown. Whenever I say brownie, I'm thinking like the food because I like chocolate, but brown-ish gray color. And then for the stripes, I am using all 6 of the Seattle, wait, is it 6? Yeah, it's 6. 6 of the Seattle minis from Explore Knits, which I got when she had her pop-up at La Mercerie here in Seattle. So I'll just hold up the 6 different colors here. They're so cute. So there's this really bright red, a darker blue, light blue, a purple, pink, and green. They all have their own colorway names, but I don't remember them off the top of my head. I know a couple of them, but yeah, so I thought this was my like grand idea of capturing like my experience of going to the Explore Knits pop-up at La Mercerie, because one is like all the mini skeins, part of the Seattle collection from Explore Knits, like I get to use all of that in this cardigan. And then for the main color, I decided to use ampersand fibers because one, I really want to knit something with their yarn because I haven't yet. And two, because ampersand fibers is like the yarn brand from La Mercerie. So I thought, you know, Explore Knits plus La Mercerie yarn together just kind of like encapsulate like that whole experience being in Seattle. Explore Knits, La Mercerie, you know? So I think that's going to turn out really cute. I'm really happy with it, and it's kind of crazy. Like, I wouldn't say that I'm very much like a stripe kind of person. I don't usually knit stripes. I don't really wear stripes, but stripes lately have really been getting me. Like, I've been wanting to make striped things, which is really fun. And also a really great way to use minis or like leftover yarns. So, been really happy with it. It's been an enjoyable knit so far. And I love the texture of the ampersand fibers. I forget what the yarn, what kind of fiber it is, but it feels rustic but not itchy. So, yeah. It's not, it feels just so nice. Like, as a cardigan, this is going to be, like, really, really good. So I'm so excited to kind of started progress on this. Finally. It's been some time. It's been a couple months since I've had this idea, I think. So, yeah. So that's the progress I have on this so far. Oh, and as far as sizing for this, I was in between making size. Actually, I'm looking at my notes and I did not write down the size, so I don't remember if it was like, I believe it probably was like a number sizing. So I am making the smallest size, which I'm going to call size 1. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. I was considering making size 1 or size 2 because I do personally like, generally like more positive ease, but I believe size 1 is supposed to be 34 inches, which would give me 4 inches of positive ease, and it's around like 4 inches could work. 4 inches could also like possibly be too small. I don't know. In cardigans, I'm usually wearing over something, so I was kind of like not sure, but I decided to go with size 1. So size 1, I think I did try this on, and it seems like it's gonna work out fine. So happy with it. Really excited. So yeah, that is the Straya cardigan. Really happy to finally share this progress on this with you all. And then I have one more thing that I started. It's over here. Okay, speaking of Suri and Explorer knits, I have another, and also camera, can you like please focus, please? Oh my gosh, I'll continue talking and hopefully it'll focus soon. So in August, there is the Flock Fiber Festival here in Seattle, and it is going to be the first, its first year in existence, and it's held by Suri, like the store, the people, the owners, the employees of the store. Like, it'll be, what am I trying to say? Like, they're hosting it. They're the ones who created this Fiber Festival. This will be the first year. It's held in August, going to be in Seattle, so of course I will be going. And I am so excited that, so through this whole experience, I have made some friends here in Seattle, some knitting friends, and it is the most fun, because I love knitting, but for the first like 1.5 or 2 years of me knitting, it's just been me. And, you know, of course, following people on Instagram is like really fun, but, you know, I never knit with people in person and stuff. And so met with a really great group of people here in Seattle, and they are so fun. And you probably have seen or heard of them on Instagram or whatever, I don't know. So this group went to, this was before I like knew them at all, but they went to Rhinebeck last year, and they did this thing where they all wore matching knits, but not matching in pattern, matching in yarn. So they all got the same yarn, and then they knit their own, like, whatever pattern they wanted to with that yarn. And so they're doing the same thing again this year for Flock Fiber Festival, and I'm going to be also joining in this kind of group knit, matching knit thing, and I think it's so fun and it's so cute. So anyway, the yarn that they have chose to do for these matching knits is from the Explorer Knits Seattle collection. It's the Pike Place colorway. It is this really bright red, and I of course wanted to join in on the matching knits, but I was like, I have no idea what I am going to knit with a really bright red yarn. Like, this is not something I think I would be like, oh yeah, I want to, you know, buy this yarn. It's gorgeous, it's a really nice red, but I just like don't wear red. So I was not sure what I was going to make, but I was like, you know, as a tank top it could work. I feel like for me, if it was a full-on sweater, it'd just be like a lot of red, but a tank top, probably, you know, it'll work. I was waiting and waiting for to see the perfect pattern that I was like, ah yes, let's make that with this red yarn. Then finally there was a pattern that came out, and I believe I talked about it in the last podcast because I was wearing it. I test knit for Sari Nordlund the Sunset Camisole, and in her version, so when she had the test knit called out, her version is in a really kind of very similar red. And so seeing the Sunset Camisole, and if you haven't seen it, that pattern also came out yesterday or on Friday. Like, I posted this on Sunday, so it would have been 2 days ago, but so yeah, that pattern also just got released. It is, and if you haven't seen it, it's just like your basic camisole. There's like triangles made in the front and back. You connect under the arms to make the body, and it's A-line, so it does kind of, you know, there's increases for the body. Basic camisole, but there is a really cute ruffle that goes across diagonally in the front, and so I test knitted that. I love my first version so much, and I used Paisley Knits yarn for that, and it is on my Instagram, and also in my last podcast video I was wearing it. Love the yarn. I think it matches the design so perfectly. It is so cute, and with the ruffle. So I am making it again. And this time, of course, in this red yarn, so that is my plan. And I actually, oh, and then for Flock Fiber Festival, there is a knit along? Make along. There is, it is, oh my gosh, and what is, let me just look it up. Okay, it is, so they have a, they're calling it the SummerFlockalong2023. So if you look up that hashtag on Instagram, that's the hashtag that the Flock Fiber Festival is using for this knit along, make along for the Flock Fiber Festival. I hope what I'm saying is all kind of making sense. And first, the cast on day for the Flock Along was yesterday. It was May 26th, and so I cast on for this version of the Sunset Camisole. So right now I have just like 2 triangles. You have to make 4 triangles separately first. They're all identical. So I've made 2 so far, and I have 2 more to go. It looks so bright, but it's going to look so cute in this pattern. And so I'm really, really excited to have another version of this design. And the one change I am making though is I am knitting, okay, so my first version I used a sport weight yarn because that is what the pattern recommends. And in this, for this yarn, I am using a fingering weight base, and so it is slightly smaller. I am using the same needle size I did for the test knit, which is US 2 needles. The pattern says to use US 2.5, so I am sizing down. I do like the kind of like the fabric this makes, like it's not too holey and airy, and so I really like how it came out, but my measurements are a bit smaller. My gauge is smaller, so for the test knit, I knit size 1, and for this version, I am knitting size 2, and so we are going to see how different that looks in this yarn and in this size. So I think it's going to turn out well. But yeah, that is what I have so far, and that's what I started. It is my first cast on for the summer flock along. I am planning on making more things to wear to the Flock Fiber Festival, so lots more things to come, but yeah, my first cast on for Flock. Okay, and then that kind of leads really nicely into the acquisition section of this video. I really can't believe that how many times in a row have I had an acquisition, like a yarn acquisition section to this video. But it's okay. Again, there's not too many crazy things this time. Okay, so on the topic of Flock Fiber Festival and casting on for the Flock Along, I will show you this first. Oh my gosh, okay. So Woolberry had her Caboose collection recently, and she was saying some people were wanting to do kind of like a make something with the Caboose collection and wear it to Flock, and we can all take a group picture. And Woolberry, or Bethany of Woolberry, said if you like let her know in your order, like which is the one, like in your order, like I want to make this for Flock. She made the yarn for people who are going to make stuff to wear to Flock early so that we have enough time to make what we wanted to wear to the Flock Fiber Festival. So I decided to get Pig Patootie, which is this really cute pink variegated color, and it's kind of like this pinky brown color, and I really, really like it. And so I got 2 skeins to make a top to wear to Flock Fiber Festival, and this is the berry merino base, so it is a fingering weight base, and I am planning on making the Luna tee by Carissa, CL Knits on Instagram, I believe. And so I am planning on making a top with this to wear to Flock. And so in addition to my sunset camisole, I am also going to make a top with this for flock. Yeah, so this will be my next cast on for sure. I was really tempted to cast this on, but I wanted to make sure I had these yarns in the skeins to show you for the video, and so I patiently waited and worked on my other knitted projects before I cast this on. But now that I've shown it to you, now I can wind them up and start on this project as well. Okay, and then my next acquisition is also from Woolberry, but this is from one of the collective monthly colors. So this is, I got First Light in the Berry Surrey base. So this is the 74% Surrey alpaca, 26% silk. And I got a sweater's quantity. Ooh. I got a sweater quantities of Surrey. So it's probably going to turn into a cumulus blouse. I saw that there is now I don't know what the name is, but the cumulus blouse is like a v-neck sweater. But I saw that there's now a rounded neck version as well, and so this could also turn into that. Basically, there's so many different sweaters I could make with this Surrey, and so it's going to turn into some kind of sweater. I think it's really pretty. Like, in addition to pink is my favorite color, but in addition to pink, I think I like purple. Like, purple has been prominent in my projects and just like in my life. I think I never realized, like, if there is no pink option, but there's a purple, like, I'll go to the purple. So, really like this colorway, and it's so cute in the Surrey as well. So yeah, did get a sweater quantities of this. So that's waiting to get worked up. And then, in addition to that order, I did get another candle from Woolberry. This is the Brunch at Woolberry scent from Wax and Wool. And it smells so good. I'm terrible at describing scents. I think Woolberry probably has a nice description of this somewhere, either on her website or one of her Instagram posts. But it smells nice. I want to say like apple cinnamon is what I'm smelling. Something close to that, but it still feels clean. Like, it doesn't feel like I don't like heavy vanilla kind of smelling things, but this one's a nice, I don't know, like apple. I don't know why I'm thinking, it's not like green apple, if you know. I know green apple is a scent that's just like not, and like a taste, like a flavor, but I'm terrible at scents. But I did get this candle. It's not focusing, but I do like this scent. And I think, I'm looking around, I think that is it. That's all I have to talk about for the knitting. And yeah, I will say, next weekend, I do have another ice skating competition. However, this time, it is not far away. It's not too far away. Last weekend's competition was in Tacoma, Washington, and that drive was just, it's not something I wanted to like. Oh, okay, so there's this thing called practice ice that you get to go on the ice for like 20 minutes on the day of your competition or whenever to just kind of practice, get a feel for the ice before you actually have to go on to perform, to compete. And mine was like in the afternoon last weekend, and the competition time for me was at like 5-something p.m. And so it was not even like having to think about, and the drive from my place to this rink was about an hour when there's no traffic. But there's usually traffic in the afternoon. So I could not see myself driving there for practice ice in at 12 or 11:45, driving back into Seattle, getting ready, and then driving all the way back to the rink for the competition and driving back. Like, that just seemed ridiculous. So I just had to go there for practice ice and hang around in Tacoma the entire day until the competition. So in addition to I had no time on Saturday to do anything besides think about the competition. However, next Saturday, it is much closer, and my practice ice is way different times than my competition. So practice ice next week, it is so early in the morning. It is too early. And then competition's at night. So I have a lot of time. So I think I will record sometime in between that next week. Maybe to help my nerves so I'm not just like thinking about it the whole time too. I think that'll help. So I think that there will be a video next week. I really apologize for kind of the inconsistent timing and filming of this, but I hope that you will bear with me because my two main hobbies is knitting and ice skating. And it's just competition season for ice skating right now. So anyway, so I am looking forward to talking to you all again next week. I think I will have lots of progress, hopefully, on some knits, maybe some new cast-ons. I kind of want to cast on like 5 things, but I want to do it thoughtfully and slowly. So anyway, I hope that was all good and that you enjoyed whatever I talked about in this podcast. I feel like it was a bit maybe hectic, kind of a lot of things, very just like, I don't know, all over the place, but hope you enjoyed it. And if you would like to, please feel free to subscribe to my channel. And if you want, you can also follow me on Instagram. My Instagram username is the same as this podcast. It's arieknits. And I don't think I've mentioned this yet. I have been doing Me Made May, which is like, so how I've been doing it is posting on my Instagram stories every day things that I have, like I wear things that I've made and I just show you what I wore that day. And I've been trying to do it every single day for the month of May, and so far I think I've been successful and we're almost at the end, so I think we'll get it every day of this month. And I generally always wear the things I've made every day anyway, and so it's so casual, like sometimes like the pants I'm wearing does not match the top I'm wearing, but it's just literally what I am actually wearing that day, and so it's been really fun to do that. So yeah, feel free to follow me on Instagram if you're interested, and I hope you've been having a great day on whichever day you're watching this. And as always, feel free to let me know in the comments down below what you have been working on. If you have been working on something while watching this podcast, that is my favorite way to watch knitting podcasts. So yeah, very interested. Love learning about new patterns and new yarns. Oh, my last video, I talked about my knitting needles, and I know I've gotten requests for it, and so I decided to talk about that in the last video. Wasn't sure if it would be interesting to anyone, but it is quite an interesting topic. I've enjoyed reading all of your comments about your knitting needle preferences, and it was so fun to learn. I've written down some new knitting needles that I haven't heard of before, like different brands and different like types and styles, and so definitely keeping that in mind for when I want to look for some new knitting needles. So thank you so much, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.